This is part 4 of the 4-part video series teaching you how to handle the feeling of being trapped during a blushing situation. And in this part, we're going to talk about what to do when judgment actually shows up. So, what if the worst case scenario happens, right? What if you feel trapped and someone actually says something to you about your blushing? Someone calls it out, they make a comment, they give you that look that makes it very clear that they're wondering what's wrong with you. How do you handle that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. So in part 1, we covered how to calm the anxiety so that you don't spiral into panic. In part 2, we covered how to break the belief that turning red in a trapped situation is going to attract everyone's attention and make a huge scene, so that way you can feel less embarrassed. And then in part 3, we covered how to handle situations where you're trapped and you're turning red around someone important or in an important situation where you care a ton about the people's opinions around you and you're trying to save your reputation. Now, in this final part, I want to give you the belief that you need to develop in order to handle judgment when it happens or if it happens. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Colin Clem, and I overcame my fear and embarrassment around blushing for good after 10 years of dealing with it. And I didn't use makeups, creams, medication, therapy, surgery, or anything like that. And now I run a coaching program where I have helped dozens of other blushers overcome this. And I make these videos to really give away all my knowledge for free with the goal of earning your trust, giving you a taste of what it would be like to be a client of mine, and hopefully having a few of you become clients of mine so you can overcome this much faster, much easier, and much more enjoyable than trying to go solo. And if you're interested, I always have links below with a training that explains more about my program, as well as an application that you can use to apply directly. So that way we can chat and see if it's a good fit for you. But today, I want to help you know how to handle judgment when you feel trapped. And I encourage you to go watch parts 1 through 3 if you can, if you have time. But if this is the only thing that you have left to deal with, where it's just handling judgment around other people, and maybe it's been a few days since you've watched the other ones and you don't want to go back and watch them, I'm going to give you a quick 90-second recap of what we covered. So this is specifically for situations, I mean, it applies to really all situations, what I'm going to cover, but it's really how you handle those situations where you feel trapped, where you can't move, right? It's when you're stuck in a conversation, you're stuck in a long meeting, you're stuck in a social circle where you don't feel comfortable getting up and leaving because it would be socially inappropriate. I would say that these are some of the hardest situations to actually overcome because you feel that panic and redness setting in, but you can't move, you can't speak up, and you can't distract yourself. You have no mental outs from the situation, and there's like nowhere for you to go if things got really bad. And so your brain goes like, this is it. It's game over, right? It feels like the end, and that's what causes you to feel so panicked, right? And there's basically 2 ways that I normally tell people to go about solving this, or there's really one approach, but it involves 2 components. One is taking the right mindset, saying, I'm not going to die. I can still be confident. Most people don't even notice all of these phrases. And then taking action, actually going into situations, raising your hand, voluntarily exposing yourself to some of these situations so that you can have some control over them and be able to feel that panic and prove it wrong, right? That's essentially the process that I encourage you to go through. But in this specific situation where you feel trapped, you don't have the luxury of moving around. You don't have the luxury of taking action. So the only thing that you have left is your mindset. It's your beliefs that you actually have about blushing. And so the way that I see it is I see these moments as the true test of what you believe about blushing. Like, what do you actually believe? Because if you have these old beliefs trying to tell you this is something to be afraid of, and you believe that, you're going to panic. But if you don't believe that anymore, you're not going to panic. And so if you have this reaction, if somebody was to point out that you're blushing and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, I hope that never happens, this video is for you. Okay, you still have some work to do. But if you're at the point where you're like, this is just something that happens, I'm not even that bothered. Sure, I could be embarrassed, but I'm not because it's just how I am and it doesn't really mean anything about me. If that's where your mindset is, if like that's what you truly believe now, you wouldn't even be watching this video because you don't see it as an issue in your life anymore. So I guarantee none of you are there, but that is the goal that we're trying to get to. Right? That's what we're going to get through together. And there's essentially 4 layers of beliefs that you need to develop to get to that belief, to go from feeling this is so embarrassing to this is just something that happens. And I made the first 3 parts covering these first 3 layers of belief. I'm not going to go over them entirely right now, but essentially you just have the panic that you feel, realizing that you're not actually going to die. You have the embarrassment, realizing that most people don't really even care. And then the third thing is when it's somebody important, realizing that you can still be liked, you can still be confident, you can still be intelligent, even if you blush. Okay. Then the last thing is, what about when someone judges you? If you can develop the right mindset in this specific situation, you will truly solve your blushing problem, especially in situations where you feel trapped. Because if you can develop the right belief here, the right mental response to that initial panic, then you will always feel in control. You'll never have the fear and you'll never have the embarrassment anymore. I shouldn't say never, but when you do feel the fear or the embarrassment try to come in, you know how to respond and you'll instantly be able to get back in control of the situation and not suffer. Okay. So that's what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about this last belief that you have and what you need. So let's go into that worst case scenario. The worst case scenario happens, someone notices and they do say something, right? They do tease you. They do judge you. And it's in that moment that you likely have the limiting belief of something around this. You probably believe, see, this is embarrassing. What I was so afraid of is true. This is the worst. Why does this happen to me? You start getting into a little bit of a victim mindset and like you start shrinking. And you realize that you give in to the opinion of that other person. But what I want to help change for you is the perspective that that is just an opinion. Embarrassment is not a fact. Embarrassment is a belief, right? It's a belief based on what you believe blushing means and whether or not you want that identity to be associated with you or not. And so when I was going through this, I'm going to share a little story about how I discovered this particular one before I share the belief that you need to develop. When I was going through this, what really changed my life is that I knew it was going to happen. Like when I was at the point where I had to either face this fear of blushing or give up becoming valedictorian. And if you don't know my story, you can watch previous videos. I explain it, but I knew that I had to make a choice. And so I was at a point where I just knew I was going to blush. And I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm going to be okay with it. Because I made the decision that I'm not doing this for them anymore. I'm not trying to please them or appeal to them. I need to do this for my future self. I need to do this for me. Right? And so if someone judged me, I was like, if someone actually pointed it out or made a weird face, instead of me going into this mindset of, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. This is the worst. I can't believe this is happening. Like instead of going into that, I'd started to develop the mindset, the belief, the counter argument, if you will, that I'm okay if you think I'm weird because I'm doing this for me or I'm doing this for whoever it is that you look up to, not you. That is the mindset that I started to develop. I'm not seeking your approval. I have somebody else that is more important. And that belief made me untouchable, right? And I mean, just as another example, I had a dinner a couple of weeks ago and I turned beet red in front of everybody because I asked a question and I didn't want to answer it myself. I asked a question. I was like, what is your guys' hobbies? Because I went to a dinner with 5 strangers. I didn't know anybody and we needed to talk about something. And I don't really have any hobbies. I just was curious. I just wanted to say something. And so when it came back around to me, they're like, well, whoa. Like, don't change the conversation. What are your hobbies? And instantly I felt called out. But I was like, I don't really have anything. I don't really do anything. They're like, what? You do nothing? And they brought all the attention to me, right? And everybody started laughing. And it's very much a situation where anybody would turn red. Anybody. Even if you don't have this fear or embarrassment around this, right? Because that's a situation you're called out. You're in front of all these people you just met. And it's a situation that is a little bit embarrassing. And so it was in that moment that I just want you to know, I still occasionally get that thought of, Colin, you are turning beet red right now. Everybody can see that you're red. I had those thoughts. Those voices were in my head. But the difference is that now I know how to respond to them. And I know how to I have belief in the counter argument. And I have a stronger belief in the counter argument than those limiting beliefs that try to keep me afraid and ashamed. And now that I have stronger belief in my counter argument, I'm not affected by those intrusive thoughts whenever they try to come in. I just keep moving. And so in that moment, when I felt that thought of, oh my gosh, you're turning beet red right now, everybody's going to see this, I instantly said, I don't care about these people's approval. I care about being a leader for you guys. I'm not just making this up. In the moment, I said, this is awesome. This is a perfect opportunity for me to show the blushing community that I preach to how to actually handle this. And if somebody would have judged me, if somebody would have made a comment, I would have been like, I know. It's something that I used to feel super insecure about, but now I'm not. And in fact, I'm proud of the fact that I'm able to keep laughing with you guys and keep handling this, because this used to hold me back. And if you want to judge me for that, that's fine, because it's not your approval that I'm seeking. I'm going to leave this dinner and I'm going to feel okay if you don't totally like me, right? Or if it's your boss, you need to be like, I need to, even if it's your boss or somebody that actually is important in your life, you need to develop the mindset that like, you can find a new job, guys. Like, this person does not have complete control of your life. The world is larger than you think. And so if there's someone whose approval that you're seeking and they're judging you, or you're letting it get to you, you need to think of someone whose approval that you care about more. Someone who matters more, that you would be proud of showing up for. And like being able to get through a tough situation, to be an example for them, to exemplify the character traits that you're trying to build. And you need to be willing to say, I'm willing to trade your judgment for their praise or their respect, right? You have to have somebody that you are doing this for, whether it's the future version of you, whether it's somebody in your life that loves you, that's really close to you. It could be somebody you really look up to, who would be proud of you the day that you get to meet them. You're like, hey, I went through all this shit, and guess what? I did what you would want me to do, and that made me feel good, and it got me through it, right? And so now you have this empowered feeling that someone out there is proud of you for what you're doing. And it's okay if these people want to judge you. And that mindset, if you can truly adopt that, it will get you through anything. I promise you. It will carry you through any type of situation, because it's the ultimate trump card. It says nothing you say to me, nothing, no faces you make, nothing will get me to get into that this is so embarrassing mindset. Because I have a stronger belief that I am proud of myself for sitting here. I have a stronger belief that I'm proud of myself for entering this room, even though I knew this might happen. Because someone, either my future self or someone back home or my friend that I told about this, they are proud of me. Or Colin is proud of me. Colin would be proud of me for doing this. Right? Like whoever it is that you want to emulate or that you want to respect you, find someone who you know would be in your corner and say their voice matters more. And then you just show it through your actions. Somebody judges you, something happens, and you feel yourself starting to get into that this is so embarrassing mindset, but you're like, no, I care more about this person's opinion. It's okay if this person wants to judge me. I'm glad I'm here. That mindset, that belief will carry you through anything. And the more that you practice that, the more you build that mindset going into these situations, the easier it becomes to apply when you actually are called out, especially in a situation where you feel trapped and you can't respond. If you can have that mental conversation with yourself, you take back control immediately. So let's run through the 4 things that you need to do, the 4 beliefs you need to build to go from this is so embarrassing to this is just something that happens. And I could choose to be embarrassed, but I'm not going to be. Right? So these are the 4 beliefs that you need to develop. First, you need to, like, if you have that panic start to set in and you start feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to make a scene, I need medical help, or I'm going to die, you start taking it to the natural extremes. You need to realize that you're not going to die. You don't need help. And just stay in the moment. You don't need to escape. The more that you do that stuff, the more you prove that fear right. right? So you just need to just sit there and prove that you're going to be fine. And you start developing belief that, yeah, I am going to be fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. And you just pay attention to that. Next, after you realize you're not going to die, you're like, okay, but it's still super embarrassing. It's so noticeable. Everybody's going to wonder what's wrong with me. You have to realize that's not true either. And so when you get that thought coming in, you need to build up this counter argument and build up proof for the fact that it's not as red as it feels. And most people barely notice, or most people barely care if I don't make it weird, right? So that's that's only going to come through going through these situations and looking at everybody and realizing that people don't stop talking to you because of this. People don't make fun of you because of this nearly as much as you think, right? Maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 people in your life that do that. And we'll talk about that in, the layers 3 or 4. That's what those are for. But in layer 2, it's just the majority of people don't care. They're wrapped up in their own problems. And until you start looking and paying attention to that, you'll realize that that's the case, right? So you have to realize that that's the case. And you do that by going into these situations and realizing that nobody really cares. So that way, when you are trapped and it's just your mind against your mind, you can think back to all these past times when nobody really cared. And you're like, I'm going to be fine. Just most people are wrapped up in their own problems. Just don't make it weird. Keep listening, keep smiling, keep nodding. You're fine. And then that will help you overcome that second layer of embarrassment. The third layer is when it's someone important, when it's you care about making a good first impression, or you care about somebody's thoughts on you and you care about your reputation. You need to realize that they're not going to think you're weak, okay? Your blushing doesn't define you. Your actions do. The way you carry yourself does. Keep listening. Be warm. Be present. Be kind. Be confident. Like, just show that it's not bothering you, right? That's what matters. They won't care about your skin changing color unless you start acting all weird. Then they're going to start feeling uncomfortable. They're going to wonder if you're okay. But if you don't act like it's a big deal and you just say this is just something that happens, then they're going to treat it that way as well. Okay? And you have to go through these situations one by one around these people or in these settings to actually start building that belief for yourself. And realizing that if you don't make it weird, they won't make it weird. Okay? And you can still be seen as confident regardless. Then lastly, the final thing is when someone judges you, you cannot go into this is embarrassing, this is the worst mindset. That is the mindset that you're probably in right now, but you have to say, it's okay. This moment isn't for them. This is for future me. This is for my kid. This is for the person that I look up to. This is to make them proud, right? This is not as much about this person in front of me. Sure, do I care about what they think? Yes, of course. But I care about these people's opinions more. And I'm willing to trade any potential judgment that they might have for the pride and respect from the people who matter most. So that's the mindset that's the series of beliefs that you go through, right? And as you go up that level of belief and you go through those statements, once you hit that last one and once you truly believe that last statement, you are untouchable. Your problem is solved. And you can focus back on the conversation. You can focus back on what's in front of you. And you're gonna have these thoughts and you're gonna know how to handle them. And you're gonna have to come up with your own phrases for them to really hit home for you, right? Like mine might not totally hit home for you, but if they do, feel free to use them if they help. But you're gonna have to come up with your own set of perspectives that make you feel powerful and make you feel back in control. And if you want help doing that, if you want help applying this to your life so you can finally get past this and feel confident again, I'd love to work with you inside my coaching program. You can apply using the link below. And if you got value from this video, then please give it a like, please give it a comment, and also just subscribe for more. I have plenty more where this is coming from. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.